I once saw a high school teacher lead a simple, powerful exercise to teach his class about privilege and social mobility. He started by giving each student a scrap piece of paper and asked them to crumple it up. Then he moved the recycling bin to the front of the room. He said, "The game is simple. You all represent the country's population, and everyone in the country has a chance to become wealthy and move into the upper class. To move into the upper class, all you must do is throw your wadded up paper into the bin while sitting in your seat." The students in the back of the room immediately piped up saying, "This is unfair." They could see the rows of students in front of them had a much better chance. Everyone took their shots and, as expected, most of the students in the front made it, but not all, and only a few students in the back of the room made it. He concluded by saying, "The closer you were to the recycling bin, the better your odds." This is what privilege looks like. Did you notice how the only ones who complained about fairness were in the back of the room? By contrast, people in the front of the room were less likely to be aware of the privilege they were born into. All they can see is 10 feet between them and their goal. Your job as students who are receiving an education is to be aware of your privilege and use this particular privilege called education to do your best to achieve great things, all the while advocating for those in the rows behind you.
To the whites, who of you have actually acted out in an evil way against a black person just because they're black? I haven't, ever, and I'm guessing that a very large majority of you haven't either. You're not racist, so stop feeling guilty. I don't have to prove my non-racism to anybody. I just live it. I don't owe black people, I don't owe the media, I don't owe some stupid social media influencer celebrity campaign anything. And I will not ever apologize simply for being white. And I will never apologize that my hard work got me to where I am. This isn't about race. This is about distracting you from the real enemy and manipulating you to think in a certain way.
Then the truth actually applies, but I had to actually clip it and bring it to the end so that you could actually see them doing this mental judo of saying it's not about race, but yet all the while making it about race. Again, if you noticed in the video that I shared, it demonstrated how people in the front row have an advantage over those in the back rows. Now, if she was a good patriot, she would know that she does owe other citizens. We owe each other because we're all a part of the same nation. And as all being a part of the same nation, you have people like me who are veterans of our armed forces. We don't take the notion that we don't owe our fellow citizens anything. We understand something called service. And did you notice what she said there? It's for you to think a certain way. Again, she's projecting that certain way that they want the people that they're actually talking to think is anti-them, evil them, others, non-human. This is the dog whistle of white supremacy.
These looters and rioters have sold their integrity for $15 an hour and a stolen pair of shoes. They are not oppressed, white, black, or brown. They are thieves, murderers, and they deserve no sympathy. I have gotten on my knees and wept over these people and prayed that God removes the blindness from their eyes and that they turn from their evil ways. But so help me God, if one of you comes near me or someone near me and threatens our livelihood or our lives, I will not hesitate to neutralize your threat. Hello, I'm Good Patriot, and today I'm reviewing the Springfield Armory Hellcat. Now, why would these people send me a free gun, you ask? This isn't about race. This is about distracting you from the real enemy and manipulating you to think in a certain way.
So, if it's not about race, it's about greed. And could the real enemy be the gun lobby that's funding her because they, sent her a free gun? And could the way that they want these people to think is a way of fear so that they'll buy more guns? Could that be the actual manipulation that's happening here? That these elite, evil, corporate, 1%, whatever the fuck it is that you want to call it, that they're the ones dividing and conquering us? Dividing us simply so that they could make more profits. Shame on this woman. Shame on her calling herself a good patriot when all she actually is a good gun peddler. And notice how she weaves in her Christianity here to say she'll pray for people, that she loves them and prays for them and wants the best. And then she throws in that but, basically canceling out her Christian values to now say how she won't hesitate to take a life. I guess the saying of live by the sword, die by the sword, that means nothing to these people. It's greed and God. Or I'm sorry, guns and God.
To the black people that got their peaceful protest hijacked by these evil animals, I am truly sorry. George's death was a disgusting crime, but there are also disgusting crimes committed every day against all races. We just don't get told to be upset about them. Let this wake you up to the fact that you are being used as a pawn in a very calculated game of good versus evil. We all are, and that's why we need to stick together and stop letting them dictate how we feel, what we do, and how we think. Don't believe the lie that you can blame your way to success and riot your way to justice. The end of this video is all scripted out, but I'm just not feeling it, so I'm just going to talk plainly with you guys. I'm tired. I'm tired of all this bullcrap, and we need to stop being angry at each other and be angry at the people that are actually systematically trying to oppress and control us. And until we do that, they're going to win.
Who is they? The people trying to systematically control us, divide us. Who is they? The gun lobby that she works for? That's the only they, because the rest of the people in power, even in the gun lobby, are all basically of European descent. And so who is this other they boogeyman that she's even talking about? This is the fucking judo that's going on. Is that, oh, we all need to come together and kumbaya and whatever, because it's as if she's actually talking to black folks, right? She ain't talking to us, because if she was talking to us, then she would be doing a very important thing within communication, which is listening. She says that she's talking to the black peaceful protesters. She says that don't believe the lie that you can riot and blame your way to success. Again, I thought you were talking to the peaceful protesters, right? But no, what she's doing is lumping all of the people in as evil, because she acted as if there were these peaceful protesters that she believed in, and then she talked about them all rioting. This is the game that she's talking about of good versus evil, that she now wants to come along and says, if we could all just work together, we could work against them that's trying to oppress us. Well, you are the oppressor by denying our perspective that there is such a thing as systematic racism or police brutality. You are the person dividing us. The fact that you can't see it is not our fault. It may be due to your own bigotry, your own cover of white supremacy. But don't blame us for your bullshit.
To the believers out there, I just feel like I'm supposed to tell you guys to put on the full armor of God and get on your face in prayer and pray over our country and our world, because we are in a serious battle right now. Thank you for watching. I hope you resonated with some of the thoughts in this video, and that it was encouraging, and that you realize that I'm coming from a place of tough love, because that's what's needed right now. down with political correctness and sugarcoating. In fact, I actually never do it. But if you're not used to that, welcome to the page of Good Patriot.
Who it is that she's talking to when she says believers is not black people, right? It's not black culture. Who she's talking to is white culture. And specifically within white culture, she's talking to evangelical Christians. The same evangelical Christians who are overwhelmingly Trump supporters. Understand something of what she meant when she said giving them tough love. Basically saying why she just scared the hell out of them. Right? And another thing that she said is that she's not politically correct. Right? They're down with political correctness. You know, what she really means is that as times have gone on, then the norms of white supremacy have no longer been accepted. And because they're no longer accepted, the ways and behaviors of white cultures are now beginning to come into question. And as they're coming into question, they're pushing back against it and says, oh, that's just political correctness, right? Politically, it's the correct thing to do. Right. If it's not about race, then you should understand that it's about humanity. And it's for you to respect the humanity of other people. But yet, for some reason, these evangelical Christians don't respect the humanity of other people. That should be the bigger question. Why don't they see everyone else as human beings, even though they call themselves Christians?
For a long time, evangelicals have been, if not leading, very much at the forefront of kind of racism in America. I would argue, historically, really more as an evangelical, I would argue it's a failure of their, it's a failure of faith. If we believe Jesus died on the cross sort of for our sins, the redemption, all human beings are worthy of redemption in God's eyes, regardless of gender, race, class, and so forth. So it moves even beyond just the creation to the redemption. So I think evangelicals have an amazing set of resources in their faith to be able to overcome these racial problems. And for a variety of reasons, they just failed to do it because I think they're overcome by fear. In many ways, they're overcome by and this deeply rooted idea that somehow we are an exceptional nation, that God has blessed us above other nations, that we are a new Israel, right? In some ways, evangelicals still believe they're in this kind of contractual relationship with God. Americans are evangelicals believe that if we don't keep a pure Christian nation, we're going to lose. We're going to lose God's favor in some ways. So I think that all of those kinds of really bad kind of historical assumptions and theological assumptions, right? Fear, I love the Marilyn Robinson quote that fear is not a Christian habit of mind, right? So there's these kind of psychological, theological errors, historical errors that get in the way of us kind of living out our faith with a sense of hope, right? With a sense of equality, with a sense of, what Martin Luther King called the beloved community.
He says something very important there. That these people aren't able to have this empathy, have this shared love for other people regardless of who they are, in a sense to understand that there's redemption within all human beings, that they don't have this peace within their spirituality due to historical and theological assumptions. Now, that's a very clever way to say white supremacy, because these assumptions that he's addressing are all from the Middle Ages or Dark Ages or Medieval Ages, whatever it is that you want to call it. What he's basically saying is that there are these flat assumptions that have been made within white culture. This white supremacy is not something that is unique to the United States of America. It's worldwide. It's this crisis of faith that we find ourselves in today in America. We can continue to accept these old assumptions, historical and theological, or we can sit down and find the way forward.